Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Released September 6, 2024. Directed by Tim Burton. Written by Alfred Goff, Miles Miller, and Seth Grahame-Smith. Starring Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, and Jenna Ortega. Rotten Tomatoes score, 77%. Metacritic, 62. IMDb, 7.2. Welcome back to Real Reviews. Like always, I am your host, Lee. This week we are talking about Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, a sequel to the 1988 Beetlejuice. Simply put, I would recommend it, but probably once it is streaming. But let's talk about it. I am going to talk about the story right off the bat, so slight spoilers. There are at least 5 storylines in this movie, and I personally don't feel like any of them were really resolved particularly well. The first is Lydia and Astrid, her daughter, should have been the core story. The second is Lydia and Rory, her douchey boyfriend, which could have been cut. Then Lydia and Beetlejuice, which obviously needs to be part of the movie. Then we have Astrid and a ghost boy, which could have been one of the most interesting stories. And finally, there is Beetlejuice and his ex-wife, which was probably the weakest of the movie. There are a few other less important storylines that don't really impact anything, so I won't add those in. My main problem with this is that they rush to resolve everything within 5 to 10 minutes, so 3 of those 5 get handled in that time. One gets Deus Ex Machina treatment before the ending, and the last kind of naturally concludes because the rest of the story resolves. There is a twist that doesn't get enough time to sit to be shocking. In general, I would say the story is pretty predictable. The story is largely the weakest part of the movie. The acting, on the other hand, is amazing. Catherine O'Hara is fantastic and dramatic. Winona Ryder does a great job as a traumatized, vulnerable adult Lydia. Michael Keaton is Michael Keaton, so he is good. Jenna Ortega is an interesting one to discuss. I don't think that she is a bad actress, but the script she got just makes her mostly deadpan and emotionless. I can't really say anything about Monica Bellucci because she is barely in the movie and most of her lines are, "Where is Beetlejuice?" Let's get to some questions.
What role does humor play in Beetlejuice Beetlejuice? How does it balance the dark comedy with any new tones introduced in the film?
This movie uses basically the same type of silly humor as the original. It doesn't shy away from gross jokes or being super ridiculous. For me, it was a bit much and I stopped finding it funny, but me at the age that I saw the original, it would have been all about it.
Are there any standout visual or special effects that enhance the film's supernatural setting? How do these compare to the iconic style of the original?
So this one of the biggest letdowns for me. The original, the effects looked good for the time, maybe purely because of the time and the limitations. This one has some similar creatures and things, but it isn't done practically. There is a big letdown at the end where they use computer effects for something that could have been done practically and very easily.
How does the sequel handle the development of returning characters? Are their arcs continued in a way that feels consistent with the first film?
There are only 2 returning characters, Lydia and Delia. Both feel like natural evolutions of the characters from the ones that ended in the prior movie.
Reflecting on Beetlejuice Beetlejuice as a whole, what could be its impact on the legacy of the Beetlejuice franchise? Does it potentially set up further explorations into this universe?
I honestly think that it will either have zero impact or minorly hurt it. This movie will be someone's favorite. This movie will make someone hate Beetlejuice. Most will just forget this movie exists within a few years. So another problem is that this movie vaguely has a few antagonists, but not one of them gets enough screen time to really matter. In fact, all but Beetlejuice get unceremoniously offed. The pacing for this movie is good though. I never felt like I was bored, never wondering when something would happen. Overall, I found it enjoyable. I gave it a 5 out of 8 or a 6.25 out of 10 stars. Like I said, I would recommend it. I just can't say that it would necessarily be worth the price of a movie ticket and popcorn. Like always, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I typically have at least 2 videos out per week, real reviews like this or AI reviews depending on releases. Until next time.